Hello, this is Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer.
Welcome home. Soar into tower. We are ready for takeoff.
Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hey, it's Amy from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey Clubbers, it's Scott from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, it's Kathleen from DVC Clubhouse.
Welcome aboard. It's Phil from DVC Clubhouse.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Debrief Podcast brought to you by DVC Clubhouse. This is Amy, joined by all of my co-hosts this week. Kathleen, Phil, and Scott is back with us this week after having to take a week off because of stinking work.
Gotta love
Hashtag adulting.
that.
Hey, guys.
Hi guys.
Welcome aboard, guys, and welcome back, Scott.
Gotta pay for those cruises.
The cruises that you didn't even take last month, you got to pay for those cruises Kathleen is going on.
Well, hold on.
You want to be my sugar daddy?
Hold on a second.
Oh,
Scott
I know
did
what you're
book
gonna say.
a cruise without me knowing about it, so
You were kind of there.
kind of, but I didn't think you would. But
Sometimes there's such good deals going on, though, you just can't pass them up. And when you know a really good travel agent,
so I don't want to hear his mouth.
Back to the sugar daddy statement.
yes.
It's a very interesting thing to be getting a text from Kathleen telling me like what she's thinking about, what she's looking at, and then all of a sudden getting a text from Scott at the same time saying, "I want to book this cruise right now." And I was like, "Are you with Kathleen? Because she and I are texting and she did not mention this at all." But
Scott, can I be your arm candy, please?
Absolutely, Phil. Amy never knows when to take me seriously, so if I text her and say, I need to book a cruise right now.
Just hurry up and do it, Amy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need confirmation from Kathleen.
well, I figure if you send me a picture of your credit card, I know that you're for real.
I figured you have it memorized by now.
Yeah. Well,
Speaking
Anyway.
of adulting,
yeah, exactly. Speaking of adulting, so this past weekend, Geo-82 had its soft opening, and now I think it's open, right? June 2nd, or is it tomorrow, June 4th?
June 4th.
The 4th.
Oh, tomorrow is not the 4th, but June 4th is the official opening. And this officially marks the first adult-only establishment at Walt Disney World. And so we thought we would take a little bit of a dive into that today to see how we feel about it, if we think this is the beginning of a trend, if so, where we think they might go next with this, and all of that. And I just want to give a little disclaimer that some people might say, oh, Victoria and Albert's, but Victoria and Albert's actually will allow children of a certain age to dine there. Geo-82 is the only 21 plus, I believe, right? It's not even 18 plus, right? It's 21 plus. Like you have to be of legal drinking age to enter. And
Correct.
so,
well, just a couple of points, just because I'm unsure. So we know that there were portions of Pleasure Island that were 21 plus. Jelly Rolls at some point at night went to 21 plus, right? Wasn't that time dependent?
actually, no, Jelly Rolls was always 21 plus. You could not enter Jelly Rolls until you were 21. But I guess maybe people aren't really counting Jelly Rolls because it wasn't owned by Disney. I don't know if that's or maybe it's just people are saying it's the first one in a theme park.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify because as soon as you said that, I had a couple of things pop into my head that I hadn't really thought about before that I guess were technically 21 plus. So while it's not the first time it's happened on Disney property, it's certainly the first one inside a park that I know of.
Yeah, definitely inside a park. And I think Pleasure Island, I recall being at Pleasure Island at nighttime, being able to go into the Adventurers Club. I think there were a couple of places that you could go into at night, but then there were clubs that were definitely 21 plus.
I have a vague recollection of it being split somewhere, and just because they've changed it so much with Disney Springs and what's there, but thinking back, I have this vague recollection that there was a part like across a walkway or a bridge or something that was the 21 plus or something like that. I can't recall, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. But this is, at least it's certainly the first 21 plus establishment located inside a theme park. So just curious to see how you guys feel about it. Now, I know, Phil, I know that you've had some kind of like reservations about it.
I have very mixed feelings, and I think I could argue either point, but I know Scott's really got a firm opinion on this. I think I want to sit back and listen and see if that sways me one way or the other, because I'm very torn on this one.
Well, I don't know that I have a firm opinion about it, especially after seeing the actual prices on the menu. I like the idea. I think they need to do a little bit more of the adults only areas because there's nothing. I mean, like we just talked about, now that Jelly Rolls is gone, there's really nothing there. And I understand Disney is a place for family. It's a place geared towards kids, towards that younger generation. But it is nice. I mean, there's a lot of couples that go there. There's a lot of people that are local that just do date nights. And, I think Amy has said it before, after 10 o'clock, what do you have? I mean, there's just not a whole lot there to do. Disney Springs might be open a little bit later. But as far as just adults only, I think it's a really solid idea. I think they're headed in the right direction, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how people react to it once they go and they have to pay these prices.
I feel like if history tells us anything, I don't think price is going to be a deterrent. I mean, I think in the day and age of social media, people have FOMO and people are going to go because they see it on social media and they don't want to miss out on it. So they might go and get one drink and then leave.
I agree with that, but I'm sorry, I agree with that. But my first thought, and it's right over there in Epcot, my first thought was Space 220.
It's exactly where I was just going to go with this.
Because you're absolutely right. I think people are going to want to try it, but once you have that wave of people that have actually tried it, how many repeaters are you going to actually get? Is it just going to be a gimmick? Is it going to be, okay, I've had this bourbon, what is it, brown butter bourbon old fashioned. I don't need it again at $28. I don't know. That's what I mean. I think it's going to be interesting to see how people react to it. And then based on that, future projects might be out there for more adult only places or not.
I think that compared to Enchanted Rose has drinks that are $25 on the menu. Like their seasonal old fashioned is $25 or $26. So comparatively speaking, there are other places on property that charge that. I mean, some of the margaritas at La Cava are in the $20 range. So I don't really think that the price is a deterrent for one drink.
This is every drink, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not just a drink on the menu. It's every single drink is priced in the mid-20s. I feel like we just kind of reopened Cake Bake, but in a 21 and over kind of like bar setting. Every drink. I mean, they even have the bourbon flight is actually $45, and I think that's a good deal. But I'm looking at the menu now, 26, 23, 26, 25.
How much is the old fashioned there?
28.
So the seasonal old fashioned at Enchanted Rose is $27.50.
But how many more drinks are you going to find that are...
Yes, like the lavender fog there is $19. So it is...
So I don't think that they give you the options price-wise like Enchanted Rose does. If you want to grab a standard $17 drink, you can still get that at Enchanted Rose. This one, as soon as you walk in the door, if you're getting one drink, you're spending $30 with tip, easily.
Well, you can get beer there for between $8 and $11. And you can get some glasses of wine for $16, $18. So there are some items on the menu that if you didn't want to have to spend $28 on a cocktail, you could spend $8.25 on a beer just to check it out. So there are some, more wallet friendly alcoholic beverage options on the menu. I think that I'm more excited about this than I was about Space 220 because I just think Space 220 is kind of like a glorified. To me, it's like the same thing as Rainforest Cafe or T-Rex or just like a theme restaurant like that. That's kind of just kitschy. And I feel like this lounge definitely has a more upscale feel to it. Like it feels adult to me. It feels like an adult space versus Space 220 that looks like a family themed space restaurant / bar.
With a pre-show.
What'd you say?
With a pre-show. I feel like you have to go through the pre-show when you go to Space 220 just to get up to the bar. You can't skip the, oh, here we go. We're going up in space. And
Right.
okay.
In space. So, yeah, I mean, the price point is definitely I mean, it's not something where you're going to go and in fact, I think it's a 2-drink max. You can spend 45 minutes there and I think you can get 2 drinks. Whether or not they will enforce that remains to be seen, but that's what they're saying now. I think that it's going to be wild. I mean, based on reservations and how difficult they are to get right now, it's definitely a hot ticket. Granted, it's brand new, but I do think that it asks a question about, is this the way that Disney's going to go? Are they going to create more of these spaces? And when I was thinking about talking about this tonight, I looked up the statistics of childless adults in the United States, and from 2018 to 2023, one stat that I saw is that the number of childless adults increased by 10%. And since Disney adults has really become a thing, I think that Disney is trying to do more to cater to that audience because they don't want to be missing out on people who have a ton of disposable income because they don't have kids. They have chosen to be childless. They've chosen to, travel and to spend their money on experiences and to create an adult feeling space in a theme park, which may not be someplace that you would necessarily think that adults without kids would want to go. But as we see, there is a huge audience, a huge Disney adult audience that many of them are childless. And so I think that, and I think that if you use the cruise ships as kind of even like as a beta testing for this, the adult only spaces on the cruise ships are extremely popular because people want to seek out spaces where they can relax and, feel like they are in an adult space. So I think that I could see that this is depending on the success of this, which I anticipate being pretty successful. I could see this being the first of other adult only spaces at Walt Disney World. What do you think?
I still remain torn. I think I would identify myself to some extent as a Disney adult. We go down with the kids, we have fantastic trips, but at least once a year, sometimes more, Emily and I will go down as a couple and we will do Disney. We do the trip differently. We explore the parks differently. We spend a lot more time in the resorts. We take our time. We enjoy some of the more adult oriented things that you can do there. So coming at it from that position, I can appreciate that you want to have some adult themed entertainment, some adult themed locations. But I've just got this gut reaction, and I can't justify it completely, but I've got this gut reaction that it's not an adult vacation. It's not an adult spot. Even though we use it as such, I just go back to the whole formation of Disneyland, where it's a place where parents and children can enjoy it together. And I'm not going to lie, and this might be a completely unpopular view. I'll probably take some flack from this. People are going to get upset, but I'm used to it by now. There are different types of Disney adults. There are those of us like ourselves who understand our affinity to the park. We go, we accept that there are going to be crowds. There's going to be good behavior, bad behavior. There's going to be kids. And then there's that Disney adult that gives us all a bad look and a bad name. And I feel like that type of Disney adult is becoming more and more prevalent in the park, where kids are getting dirty looks because they ran in front of an adult who's trying to pose for the perfect photo against the perfect wall with the perfect cupcake. And I just want to scream at those people. Like, you came to Disney. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think you were going to get the perfect Instagram shot because no kids were going to get in your way? I worry about what direction Disney is going in to chase that almighty dollar. Are they chasing away the families that have the children who are going to become Disney fans to capture the immediate dollar from those who don't have kids who are going to find the next thing a few years from now?
And I like that they did this. I like that they put it in a park. And I think if you're going to choose any of the parks, Epcot makes more sense because you get the people that go there and drink around the world. but I still think it's kind of I like the theming of it. If you talk about the cruise ships, I was thinking about the lounges that they have, like the Haunted Mansion Lounge. The different themed lounges are going to draw people in. And this Geo-82, of course, it's a nod to Spaceship Earth. I think it's cool. I like the theming of it. But at the end of the day, you're still going to be adults only, handicapped by what time the park closes. And I just feel like maybe something like this would make more sense now that they have all this real estate at Boardwalk. I would like to see something like this at Boardwalk, adults only, something that's open till 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, where you don't feel like you're going to be rushed out the park because it closes at 9:30, 10 o'clock.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I looked at it from a different direction, especially as it concerns Epcot. Over the last, let's call it 5 to 8 years, Epcot is very much getting to the point where I'm not sure I want to be walking around Epcot with my kids at 8 o'clock, because the drinking in Epcot and the behavior is becoming so prevalent that there's a lot of things I don't want my kids seeing. There's a bunch of language I don't want my kids hearing. And I think that is without a doubt the direction they're pushing Epcot in. If you want to go and enjoy kiddie rides, go to Magic Kingdom. If you want to go look at animals, go during the day to Animal Kingdom. Hollywood Studios is a toss-up, but Epcot is for adults to go and spend money on small plates and drink around the world. And it seems, a lot of the decisions are going in that direction. You look at the new dance spot they just brought up. I saw days of people on Twitter saying, please, adults, don't ruin this for the kids, because you're increasingly seeing all these grown-ups getting out there in this defined kid space. I think the drinking adults are taking over that park, and I think this just fits that theme, and Disney is continuing to chase that.
I think that this is another case where Disney is taking a look at Universal and the market share that Universal might be getting because of Epic Universe, which Epic Universe is decidedly like a park that is appealing to millennials with the IP that they have chosen in that park. And they are trying to appeal to that audience. And I think that that is a demographic that wants this type of space. And so I think that they are trying to create things that are going to draw people to the parks. And I agree with you, Scott. I think that there is no nightlife anymore. With Jelly Rolls gone, there's no nightlife anymore. Pleasure Island is a thing of the past. Now Jelly Rolls is a thing of the past. But I think that right now they're more concerned about how to get people into the park and getting them to stay there and getting them to spend money. And if they are dangling an adult only carrot in front of people, I think people are going to bite, because that is appealing to a certain demographic. And I mean, it's certainly appealing to me. Now, I do have kids, but my kids are grown. I take a lot of trips by myself. So I think that it's like a nice notion to be able to go into that space, which has a really pretty view overlooking kind of new Epcot. And even look, I'm likely never going to spend the $180 for the fireworks experience. I mean, you're so far from the fireworks, and I don't need a charcuterie board and champagne to watch those fireworks. I can belly up to a fence in World Showcase and have a great view. But during the day, I think that it's a really nice kind of, retreat from the park that, especially while there are a lot of places to get drinks in Epcot, there are very few that are as spacious as that, where there are so many seats where you can sit down and enjoy a cocktail. I mean, when you think about what the bars are in Epcot, you've got La Cava, which is tiny and very limited seating. You have the wine cellar in Italy, which now you have to order food if you want to sit down in there. You've got Rose and Crown, which is just a stand-up, belly up to the bar pub, and that's it. Or Spice Road Table also has like a, just a bar that you walk up to and order your drink. There's really no place in Epcot that offers this type of like lounge setting. So it's definitely an elevated experience that's offering a more relaxed way to sit and enjoy a cocktail. I mean, and at Nomad Lounge is not kids only, but I think that they might be looking at something that's as popular as Nomad Lounge and thinking, great, let's bring spaces like that into our other parks, because people are literally rope dropping to get into Nomad Lounge. It's one of the most popular attractions at Animal Kingdom.
Yep.
And if they are going to create this space and make it adults only, it's only going to be that more appealing to a certain demographic who probably is willing to pay $25 for an old fashioned, or $28 for an old fashioned.
That's why I wanted to listen to this conversation, because it's funny as I'm sitting here thinking about it. I would welcome this kind of space where Jelly Rolls is, where the dance hall is, in the resorts, pretty much anywhere else on property. There's even plenty of places at Disney Springs that I would just welcome it being a 21 plus venue. I think it's just the fact that it's inside the theme park that's really kind of
Yeah.
rubbing me the wrong way. Like, there are plenty of other spots where adults can be adults. It's just the theme park aspect with kids and what they're driven to and what these parks were built for. I think that's the part that's rubbing me, because when you're talking about all these other locations it could be, I have no negative reaction, no visceral reaction to it. But I did have a very immediate and visceral reaction to this announcement, and I couldn't really pinpoint why it was.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only thing that's kind of making me hesitate about being totally excited about it is, I mean, it's in a theme park. Like I said, I'm still going to have to be kicked out by 10 o'clock, but I'm still going to go. I'm excited. I just wish, like we just talked about, look at all the real estate at Boardwalk. If they did different, they already have Abracadabra there. So if they did different themed lounges, it doesn't have to be a complete row of lounges all the way up and down the boardwalk, but you could do something so cool there and theme it so cool. And people would line up nightly to get into that place and leave it open until 2 o'clock in the morning. Talk about bringing in money.
Well, I mean, I'm hopeful now with the Jelly Rolls space and the Big River Grill space being empty that they are going to do something. I mean, we've talked about the fact that I'm sorry, that Boardwalk desperately needs a better quick serve option. So maybe that will come in. But I do hope that the Jelly Roll space turns into an option for for adults at night. That's going to be a fun experience. And I mean, and I'm not to beat a dead horse about like the demographic of, who they're going after, but it's interesting. I'm very involved in my sorority on a national level. And one of the big topics that everyone's talking about is this enrollment cliff because people stopped having kids. The population of college students is rapidly declining. So colleges and universities are like scrambling to figure out what they're going to do when they have fewer people actually applying to college. And I think that like the same logic kind of applies to Disney, where they're going to have a big segment of the population that is going to have fewer kids than we had, or that the generation before us had. And so how are they going to stay relevant when 10% of their audience now may not be going to create memories like the way that we talk about, Phil, you and I talk a lot about like the memories that we've created with our kids, that they've been going since they were kids and that they're going to have forever. What about the people who never have kids? And there's a growing segment of them. So they need to hook them. So, I mean, I am really interested to see if they are going to take Boardwalk and make it someplace that is going to have these great themed lounges. And what are they, is Disney Springs going to, I don't know where they would put it, because Disney Springs is just, like they're running out of space at Disney Springs to do anything. So maybe it is going to be something that they are going to bring into the parks, because what they really want is people in the parks. That is where their bread and butter is, when people pay for theme park admission and then come into the parks and are spending money on food, drinks, and merchandise. So could we see something like this at Hollywood Studios or at Animal Kingdom? We're probably not going to see it at Magic Kingdom. I think that is the one park where they probably would draw the line, and we see with this Beak and Barrel, that's going to be for families. That's not 21 plus.
I was just going to ask that.
I think it's funny anyone thinks that Disney corporate would draw the line anywhere other than where they can make money. And I think what we have learned is that Disney for the past, let's call it 10 years, has been reactive. They have not been proactive to anything. They are reactive. And if they see that they are making X number of dollars per square foot at Geo-82, don't think for 1 second that Beyond Big Thunder isn't going to have something exactly like this, because all they care about are the short-term gains, and that's just their reactivity.
I mean, how would you feel if they converted that Cinderella suite into an adult-only lounge?
Burn it down.
Burn the whole castle down.
The whole resort, all 27 square miles, just burn it down.
Because I mean, that could be a pretty cool place to have a cocktail.
You know, there's an actuary somewhere taking notes.
Right. Right. Exactly. Because I mean, what do they even do with that suite anymore? I mean, it's got to be empty the majority of the time, right? So that would be a pretty incredible place to have a cocktail. And there certainly is space for them to do something like that at Animal Kingdom. I mean, who knows? Maybe this new land that they're going to build will have something to that effect.
I would not be surprised to see something like this in every park if it's a success. That's all they care about is just the short-term gains for this year's financial report to the shareholders.
What was the hotel at Hollywood Studios that failed? The Star Wars one? What was it called? I forget.
The Galactic Star Cruiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could just do a Galactic Star Cruiser, turn that into something like adults only.
Speaking of childless millennials.
Or if they put an adults-only lounge over by Tower of Terror.
I would like that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I think that a Tower of Terror, like old school Hollywood themed adult-only lounge could be really cool too.
That would be cool. I would like that.
But I mean, I think, again, like you look at the
Muppets
success. I mean, people are like losing their minds over the Haunted Mansion parlor on the Treasure. They just absolutely love it. They think that it's just so immersively themed, and like people are basically like begging to Disney to do more of that. So if that's any indication of what Disney is going to do, maybe in the parks, we could be looking at some really cool themed bars and lounges at the other parks, or even in more of them in Epcot, because I mean, Epcot was the natural choice to do this to start, because like to, the point of that Epcot is basically the park where people go to eat and drink. It makes sense to bring this type of experience. But again, going back to Animal Kingdom, Nomad Lounge is, I mean, so wildly popular. And while that is not adults only, I mean, Animal Kingdom Lodge closes at 5 or 6 o'clock, and people are lined up to get in there until that park closes. I mean, I wonder if they would even do like an experience where you can do like after hours at Animal Kingdom, just like if they kept, 21 plus Nomad Lounge until 8 p.m.
I feel like we need to give Kathleen the last word. She's barely spoken this episode.
I'm just sitting here thinking. I'm thinking of all the lounges that we've actually gone to, and I mean, half of it's kids. I have nothing against that at all, but we were just in La Cava the other day, and I swear half of La Cava was kids 5 and under. I mean, I personally wouldn't bring my 5-year-old there, but when you're on vacation and you don't have a babysitter, and
yeah, when you're on vacation, you want to get drunk, you might as well bring your kid with you, right?
Well, I mean, I go to La Cava and I don't get drunk. I have one drink, I eat some chips, and I leave. But I'm all for it. I think if Disney had more adult things other than family things, then yeah, I think that's a problem. But I think considering all the family stuff they have compared to just the adult only things, I don't see a problem with it.
Well, I kind of like the idea of what we talked about before. Was it jelly rolls or something? I don't forget who it was, but after a certain time, it turned into 21 and over. I mean, why can't we keep lounges open at the resorts longer than what they are and just say after a certain time, it's 21 and over? So, you can bring your family, bring your kids up until 8 o'clock or, whatever time they decide. But after a certain time, we're going to keep it open an additional 3 hours and it's 21 and over.
I mean, the bottom line is they're a company. They're going to do whatever it takes to make money. Bottom line, period, end of story. I mean, I take it back to healthcare that I work in. It's just about money anymore. It's not about patient care, patient satisfaction. It's about how much money can we make off this patient. They don't care. Just like Disney. How much money are we going to make?
Is Trader Sam's 21 plus? It is, right?
No.
I've seen kids in there.
I've seen kids in there.
I'm pretty sure
kids are welcome.
I think that after a certain point, though, it is 21 plus, because when I had Allie with me, she wasn't able to get in without an ID. So
Okay.
I think at some point Trader Sam's might turn 21 plus.
Let's see.
I just keep coming back to this. I want to go to Disney, but I don't want to be dealing with kids. Like, go to the villages.
Do synchronized swimming at the villages.
So after 8 o'clock, it's 21 and over at Trader Sam's.
I like that. I mean, I think they could adopt that policy at a lot of the different lounges, and I think that would make a whole lot of people happy.
I think they're able to do that at Trader Sam's because they also have Tambu Lounge, which you can get food and stuff, and it's like more accessible to adults that have kids. Like just thinking about someplace like Bellevue Lounge or Martha's Vineyard, it might be annoying if it was 21 plus because if people just want to get a light bite and a cocktail out, when they come back from the parks and they can't bring their kids into those lounges, that would definitely be annoying. Like I would feel annoyed if I was a parent who just wanted to be able to go to the hotel lounge and, get a small plate and a drink. And if they said, sorry, you can't come in, you have a kid, I'd be like, this is Disney. Like, what do you mean I can't come in? I have my kids with me and this is the hotel that I'm staying at. But at Polynesian, because they have Tambu Lounge, I think they're able to say after a certain time, kids can't come in and it becomes like an adult only space. So I would be totally on board if there were other places at the resorts where if you had a lounge that was accessible to all guests and then another place that was 21 plus. And Boardwalk has the space for it. I mean, Boardwalk can
Hmm.
do it. And Abracadabra, honestly, that should be 21 plus because it's so tiny as it is. I mean,
Yeah.
the only reason to go in there is to get a drink. There's no food there. So why does a kid need to go in there other than what? To see a disappearing
To
thing
use
on
the
a picture? Like
bathroom, you've got
big
to walk through Abracadabra to use the bathroom.
They do have food there, don't they?
at
They have
Abracadabra?
some. Yeah, they have a few things, not much.
I thought they had truffle fries there.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Because I don't think about food when I go there
I don't
because there's
either.
no food at Bellevue Lounge, right?
Mm-mm.
No. Nope.
So, I mean, I think ultimately it'll be interesting to see the direction that the lounges take and the things that Disney does now that they've closed Jelly Rolls and they're introducing this adult only concept. Like, I think that we could prepare ourselves for more of that ultimately.
I'm all for it. Like I said, I think it's a great idea. I just think they need to really be choosy about where they're going to put it. Like, think about, instead of putting it at a theme park next time, really putting it at a place where people can enjoy it for extended hours.
Yeah, and I think after all the discussion, I think I'm going to fall back to what I said just a few minutes ago. I have no problem with this at resorts or elsewhere on property. The more I think about it, the more it irks me that you've got an adults only space inside a family theme park.
It is an interesting point, though, to bring up that you have these spaces that then people do bring their kids in, and these people are just sitting down. Like, the only reason why you go to La Cava is to get drinks, and you can get a drink outside and walk around with it. So, I mean, there is something to be said about the fact, like, should kids really be in La Cava? That's debatable.
No, my kids shouldn't. I'll tell you that right now.
But I mean, I certainly wouldn't wait in a line with. I mean, maybe I would probably go with my kids now because they would be happy to just sit there and eat chips and guac. But like young kids,
I don't think so. No, I just don't think so because I get both sides of it because if you're on vacation and, mom and dad just want to try La Cava because they've never tried it before, but the only way to get there is to drag your 4 and 5-year-old there, I get that you have to do it. But if your 4 and 5-year-old are going to be disruptive and yelling and screaming inside that little tiny space, I don't think that's fair to everybody else.
Yeah, and I disagree as a parent. It's a bar. My kids don't belong in bars.
I totally agree with that. I think if it's a bar, if it's meant to be a bar, that's not where you want to take your kid at Disney.
Right.
All right, that wrap it up, guys.
believe so. I'd be
It's a
interested to
wrap.
hear what the people in the Facebook group think. Have some discussion about that on the Facebook group.
I think this one's actually going to raise some discussion, and I might not behave myself as much in print as I do in recording, so we shall see.
Yeah, I think maybe we should do a poll. Are people more in favor of more spots 21 and over? And then I'd like to hear, where would you put it at?
Go ahead, put it up.
Future. Do that for the future.
All right, guys. Well, thank you as always for listening. If you could do us a favor, head on over to Apple Podcasts, give us a like, a 5-star review. We would very much appreciate it. Amy?
And as I mentioned, we have a Facebook group, DVC Clubhouse. Go over there and join the conversation. We're also on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And until next time, we'll DVC you real soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
And so our journey comes to an end.
Oh, no, please, can't we go back to page 1 and do it all over again?
Started this thing together, and that's how we'll finish it.
Because that, my friends, is where the magic lives.